But apparently. Yes. Yes.
Already, Greg?
Yes, sir.
Well. No, I'm not. Call it meeting order. Can everybody hear okay? I call this meeting order, the Transportation Policy Committee, on today's date of November 25th. 9:30 a.m. here in the Jeffersonian. We are happy to be here. Beautiful facility. Hope everybody made it in okay. And in case you don't know, the bathrooms are right over here. I'll try to get out of the way first, okay? So we'll go ahead and proceed then with our regular order of business and we'll have roll call.
Yes, sir. Fuller County. Steve Griffey here. Thank you. City of Charlestown.
Here.
Thanks, Cliff. City of Jeffersontown. Here. Thank you for hosting us, man. City of Jeffersonville. City of New Albany. That's all
Here.
Claire.
Yes.
Claire.
Hi.
Next is City of Shively. City of St. Matthews. Here. Clark County. Here. Thank you guys. Floyd County. NDOT Central Office. NDOT Seymour.
Tony McClellan here.
Haley's on as well.
Haley. Jefferson County League of Cities. KYPC. District 5, Tom Hall. Thank you for being here, Tom. Louisville Metro.
P5,
Governor.
Tracy Level.
Oh, hey Tracy. Louisville Metro.
Present.
Thank you. Louisville Regional Airport Authority.
Here.
Hi, Darryl. Oldham County.
Jim Silliman here.
Hello, Jim.
Hello.
Did I see Bo is on as well? Thank you guys both for joining us. Town of Clarksville. And then TARP. Okay, thank you all for being here today. Advisory members, we already have KYTC here. Federal Highways. Tanya. Hello, Tanya. You want to say hi?
Hello. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Tanya. Thank you all for joining us. And again, thanks to Jake Town for hosting us. And we'll do our best to speak loudly and clearly so that we fill up this room with our voices. So that concludes the profile.
Okay, thank you very much, Andy. Okay, and thank you for those who are joining us online. Glad you could be with us here today. Our first item of business is minutes of the previous meeting of the October 3rd meeting. A chance to look at those. I would entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved.
Second. A second. Are there any questions or additions from anyone? If none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Next up, item number 3, our public comment period. And Greg, you got some information for us on that?
Yes, not received any public comments prior to the meeting, but if I don't see anything in the chat, so if anything comes up, we'll bring it up in another business.
Okay. And then also do public involvement
Yes.
report.
Absolutely. All right. So, doing twofold today, we'll be doing the monthly outreach from last month, but I'm also going to be speaking about our annual numbers as well. That time of year for that. Sure it should. First off, we'll do the website analytics from last month in October. Maine kept the transportation 210 visitors. Tip page saw 133 visitors. And the MTP page saw 42 visitors. Both the main page and the MTP saw a slight increase in numbers compared to September. So let's see. Social media analytics on Facebook side, 14 posts, 1,200 views with 1,100 impressions and interactions. X saw 9 posts with 402 impressions. And Instagram continued our climb, 11 posts, 1,200 impressions, 32 interactions. So that is, Facebook and X did see a little bit of a decrease, but like I said, we saw an increase for Instagram, which is always good. Public comment opportunities, we completed the participation plan, did not receive any comments for that. Event wise, a little busy in the month of October. We did the Middletown Chamber Business Expo, as well as the Southwest Community Festival and the U of L Sustainability Day. So that completes October's, now going to the annual numbers for the year. Website analytics for the year, as you can see, from this chart here, a little bit of a roller coaster. Started off a little bit low, then we had a nice little spike there in the spring, back down into the dip for the summer, and then back strong into the fall. That's pretty typical, not a surprise there. Summer, typically, we're not having a whole lot of things going on. In early spring, we had a lot of other stuff, a lot of outreach opportunities, so we had a lot of stuff going on. Good news is all 3 pages stayed pretty strong across the board. Did not see anything too big. Break down those numbers. So our main page, the most visited month was April and the least was in July. Same as for our tip page. And then our MTP page, most visited was a tie for March and May, and then the least was actually last December. April and May was got the tip updates. So like I said, that's not a surprise that we saw those numbers spike in the spring. That is the second straight year where we saw an overall decrease in the numbers, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I had a little bit of a theory behind that. Typically what I've started to do over the last few years is instead of driving people to the MTP page or the tip page, I'm taking them right to our pages that we're doing, whether it's just an amendment page, a landing site of some part. So that's probably not necessarily a bad thing. My theory is to drive people to the front door and not drop them off in the neighborhood, so to speak, and try to have them kind of maneuver their way back. So I don't see that as a bad thing that we're seeing the numbers drop a little bit over the last couple of years. They're holding strong, they're steady. That's the main thing. Social media wise, you can see that Facebook's in the blue, X is the black, Instagram's orange. Facebook saw that really strong spike in spring. We had, for one of our amendments, really good paid advertising that kind of bled over to our organic numbers, and that kind of helped. And then you see that drop back down, and then they all really stayed kind of steady, all in the thousands, which is good. I think the most important thing is Instagram. You can kind of see Instagram was a little bit of a roller coaster, but then it starts that spike drawing up toward the fall, and that's what we like to see. We like to continue to see that growth. That's really good. Twitter, what it used to be known as. I mean, it's been a roller coaster all year. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. I have no explanation for why the analytics are what they are, but it's been that way for several years now. It just kind of continues. These are the average numbers. So we average 3,000 impressions, over 900 for X, and 545 for Instagram. So again, those are all really good, strong numbers. We like to see those. Hope to continue that growth next year. Events and outreach. So we did 15 total events in 2025. Just one more than we did last year, actually. We had 6 public comment periods. We averaged over 13,000 impressions on all that paid advertising, which is really good. And we collected over 1,000 comments. So that is also really good. Questions about either the monthlies or the annuals? I hear you. That wraps up my report then.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. Next up on our agenda then is item number 5. TBC officers committee nominations. Is that Andy?
Yes, sir, I sure do.
Okay.
TPC bylaws state that the TPC chairman should be it should go to the highest ranking officer on the KIPTA Board of Directors. Commissioner Kaufman was as our KIPTA Board Chair this year, was offered the TPC chairman ship this time last year, and he agreed to. So thank you for being our 2025 TPC chairman. Next year, in 2026, that role will turn over to Judge Jerry Summers from Bullitt County. And Judge Summers has accepted KIPTA's offer to be both the TPC and the board chairman for next year. And so I want to thank him in advance. Thank you for being here today. And then also, we will be in need of a vice chairperson for next year. And so at this time, I'd like to maybe get maybe 2 or 3 volunteers to be on a TPC, what's called a vice chair nominating committee. That way we can, we'll meet once in December to find us find somebody to nominate our January meeting for that vice chair role for next year. So doesn't need to be a whole lot of people, but if we can get a couple 3 folks, that'd be fantastic. Kevin and Keith,
Kevin,
thank you.
thank you.
Great. Will you mind joining us?
I will join you.
Thank you very much, and we'll make it happen. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. So that's the action required. We have
Yes, sir.
everyone there to fill that nominating committee.
Yes, sir. It'd be good, Phil.
And we're in good shape. Thank you, guys, for stepping up. Next up then is our item number 6, call for projects, working group recommendations. And Brady, you have all those recommendations and good info for us. Is that correct? Okay.
It's just a review of where we're at in this process. This call for projects in 2025, specifically, talking specifically for STBG funds and back in June. The call for projects application period ran through July, closed in August. At that time, the TTCC working group and get the staff in to review the applications and rank projects based on a variety of criteria that's outlined in the project management guidebook standard. That working group then met on October 6th and came up with a group of recommendations by consensus, then presented to the TTCC a couple of weeks ago, then approved that recommendation with a consensus approval. And those recommendations are what I'm going to share with you today. That is, and the list of which is in your packet, both in a summary form, a short form, and more details in a longer form of all recommendations. Okay. Pending approval today of these recommendations, the adjustments to the project funding will be shown in an administrative modification that Chris is going to talk about later for those projects that fit those qualifications, and the ones that require an amendment will be in the amendment that will be brought in January for legal at that time. And that's what we're at. The TTCC working group considered a variety of different strategies for how to allocate program funding available at this time. The priority of the group was to focus on existing MPO dedicated projects that needed additional funds, specifically projects that were nearing implementation phases or construction lettings, especially to get projects actually completed and built and over that last step. So 99.5% of all recommended funding in your package shown here is proposed to go to these kinds of projects. The work group considered, like I said before, a variety of factors in terms of the project's MTP score, which the scores reflect directly what KIPTA's goals and objectives are in our MTP. They consider average working group rankings. They consider internal project sponsor priorities, and also the project's history, timing need, a lot of the details of what went into these specific projects. The demand for funding was a lot higher in earlier fiscal years than later fiscal years. We have a lot of projects trying to get over that last step. fiscal year 26 to 27, as opposed to 2029. Here's a list of the projects that are in your packet. I'm gonna go through each of these just a little bit as a reminder of what these projects are and what the requests are. First one on the list here is Beecher Link Road, get the ID 381. This project is adding a center turn lane on Beecher Link Road from the Alliance Park. That's 31. Also includes some sidewalk improvements. This project is partially funded with KIPTA's STBG funds. It's also partially state funded with high growth community funds and CPF funds. The request that they have is for additional utility funds. The next project is KIPTA ID 2320. It's the South Madison Avenue project. It's a Middletown project to construct an 88 compliant sidewalk along South Madison Avenue from Main Street to Tucker Station. So this project has been under design for many years. They originally had their first design authorization in 2016. But due to some delays and some changes in priority from administration over time, this project actually lost their IMCO dedicated funds for construction due to a variety of phase shifts and breaking the rules and gives the project a great book. However, the project is back on track and is headed in the right direction. It is sought their construction funds again for this project. And they are getting close to being able to actually construct this project. So that's the South Madison Avenue project. Next project is River Road widening, KIPTA ID 163. This project is to widen River Road from 2 to 4 lanes from east of the Fairground Creek near Pope Avenue to Zorn Avenue. This project will bike lanes and Church Avenue. Prior federal construction phase estimate was a little under $15 million, and the new estimate is almost $19 million. Hence the request for additional STBG dollars. If everything goes according to plan, this project is expected to let in fiscal year 26, as we said today. Next project is KIPTA ID 2979, the Ohio River Valley Northeast Bike Bed Improvements Phase 1. Part of what we'll do. The greater project is to construct a shared use path system that connects the Lewis Clark Bridge to US 42 Prospect. The request for the funding shown here is actually to construct a part of that project that connects to it. It's a parking lot that will connect to both the future trailhead that is planned to be fully constructed in fiscal year 29, as well as to the existing trailhead that leads to the sidewalk path across the existing bridge. The reason why they want the construction funds now for parking lot is there's been significant feedback from residents and elected officials that it's a safety issue right now because there's not really an official crosswalk or parking lot in that area to access the existing trail and future trail. So hence the request for construction funds now for KIPTA ID 2979. The next project on the list is a study for the city of Prospect on US 42. With the study has the intention to study the intersections north and south of the US 42 project, KIPTA ID 2030, which is hoping, which the scope of KIPTA ID 2030 is safety and mobility improvements from Harris Creek Bridge to Bird Roads. This is on the north and south of this path. This is a smaller study that the need of which was considered after the public feedback of KIPTA ID 2030. They got so much public feedback and positive comment, public feedback. They determined they would like to study, make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing on the south intersections as well to go with their plans for KIPTA ID. That's just $100,000 for that plan. So, next project is KIPTA ID 2270, Northeast Louisville Loop, section 3, 18 section 3. This is a construction of shared use path along Shelbyville Road from Bircham Road to Executive Park. It's about half a mile. Includes the construction of a pedestrian bridge over the Forest Gordon Creek. This project currently has no utility phase or construction phase program, and so this request is simply to add those later phases, utility construction. Or KIPS ID 227. Next project is KIPS ID 321. That's the Grange underpass west of the Grange. This is the construction of a rail underpass west of the Grange on Allen Lane. Also seeks to widen Allen Lane and align with Commerce Parkway connecting to I-71. Thanks. Prior federal construction estimate was a little over $11 million. And then a little bit of time between the old estimate, new estimate is significantly higher than that, at over $22 million additional funding. One thing to note with this project, it is matched with toll credits. So essentially the entire $22 million, the new estimate will pay for the entire construction phase. With our construction phase property. So they're requesting an additional almost $11.3 million federal to get to what they need. Last two projects on here are that recommended funding are slightly different. They are both Homestead Parkway projects. The first one, section 6, is a 1.5 mile stretch that goes from Southern Parkway between South 3rd and Woodlawn Avenue. Section 7 is basically a continuation of that same trail along Southern Parkway between Woodlawn Avenue and Pepper. What makes these projects different is they requested utility and construction funds. There was not enough funding available to fund construction for these projects at this time. However, the right-of-way phase of these projects obligated less money than we had programmed. In other words, they were cheaper than they thought they might be. So the proposal here is to move the remaining right-of-way funds fund utility phases for these two properties. So not construction at this time, but both KIPS ID 2627 and 1628. Last two projects on the list here are the only two that are not recommended for funding at this time. That is the Hirschborn Lane, and 6 Mile Lane intersection. It's a proposal to basically extend the left turn lane with southbound left turn lane on Hirschborn Lane at that intersection. And the second project is the Marshall Trail project in Jefferson Town. The reasons that these were not recommended funding at this time is because they already have state funding outlined in Kentucky's picture agreement. So it's the opinion of the PTCC working group that there's these other KIPTA projects that need funding, and those should be prioritized. So projects that already have funding to their name in state funds. Okay. Any questions about any of those projects? If so, feel free to speak up. Okay. A lot of the funding that I just talked about is in earlier fiscal years, sort of in order to make everything right with the TIP has to be fiscally constrained within fiscal year 25 to 28. In order to make that right, we had to push out a couple of project schedules to later fiscal years in order to make room to put more funding in earlier years of projects. And so as a result, there's a couple of projects that are moving their construction phases from 26, 28. See them here, KIPS ID 2214 and KIPS ID 1271 are just on construction phases to make room for other projects. Have a closer schedule. Okay, after all dust is settled with all the project movement here, this is the projected carryover balance for SDBG program in Kentucky. See the $145 million carryover at the end of fiscal year 25. And then the rest of these numbers assume a perfect 100% obligation of all of the projects we have programmed. So in fiscal year 26, it is by this table is assuming that we obligate $125 million next year. If we do that, there'll still be a carryover of $20 million that will then go into 27. 27 assumes We'll program all of fiscal year 27's dollars plus the $20 million carryover balance. Do all of that, then we're in the red fiscal year 27. And so on and so forth. So you may ask, well, it looks like we're over programmed in 27 and 28. Is that problematic? The answer to that is no, because you have to also remember that KIPTA locks off 20% each year from our sub allocation for SDG cost inflation reserve. So that additional funding is not included in these numbers. That's about $4.5 million each year. So we do have money to cover what's in the red from our SDG cost inflation reserve. It's also fair to assume that we will not obligate 100% of all of our projects over the next several years. So this is actually a fairly conservative program. Okay, there's a couple projects, a little bit of history on. Just a note for the group, KIPTA ID 163 River Widening. This project originally introduced to the tip for 1999, first PE authorization FEMA system 3. Construction has been shifted at least 17 times, according to my research. Get to the records. Original total project cost estimate was $8.5 million. Most recent estimate today, over $39 million. This is a 368% increase. So reference inflation of just what the dollar inflation is since 1999 is 94. So all of that, everything in between is the other sources. And this project has been funded by KIPTA since its inception. The second project on here is back to KIPTA ID 321. Range Underpass. This project was originally introduced to the tip in the year 2000. First authorization for PE was 2006. And the first confirmed SDG funding program for construction was 2009. So that's it. Sorry, I got two screens. Thank you. Original total project cost estimate for this KIPTA ID 321 was $5 million. Today's estimate is over $36 million. This is a 614% increase. Once again, since that time, dollar has increased about 88%. Earliest record of SDG funding for this project is 2005. The third project I just wanted to highlight again is Beach Point Road, KIPTA ID 381. Originally introduced in the TIP in the year 2000, first authorization for PE, though it was 2021. So this project's a little bit different. It's had funding for a long time, it's been TIP in a long time, but hasn't actually began its project development process until fairly recently. So this one's a little different than the other ones I just mentioned. However, the original project cost estimate was originally introduced to the TIP was today it's 966% higher than it was originally estimated. Almost 1,000%. Project was programmed entirely with state funds, and the first time KIPTA actually agreed to chip in with funding for this project is for a $6 million for construction fiscal year. So KIPTA didn't actually program funding for this project until fiscal year 1. That phase has since shifted to 0.5 and now it's 52.7. Okay, I mentioned the history of those three projects specifically because it was proposed by KIPTA staff at their TTCC working group meeting that 2 of the 3 projects, not the last one that I said was a little bit of a different case, but specifically these 2 projects, River Road and Range Underpass, was to arrange that perhaps it'd be best to basically propose a funding cap for these projects to say, here's an additional $15 million that is proposed in the recommendations that I went over. But these projects are so old and they're so over budget. Perhaps there should be an ultimatum by the TTC to say, no more funding for these projects. They're programmed to light at 26. Please do them, but don't come back. So that was discussed by the TTCC working group, brought to the TTCC for future discussion or for discussion as well. And that idea was denied by the TTCC with a caveat to please discuss this again when the project management guidebook is updated, which that discussion plans to be a spring of 2026. So what you have before you for an action today is simply to recommend is to approve or probably for 2025 call for projects funding recommendations that are in your packet. That I went over.
You need a break, Brady? Okay, so what we have for this, Brady's stated everything. This is seeking the adoption of the recommendation for the call for projects for the STDG MDO funds and action is requested. Any motion to accept this recommendation? A motion?
Motion.
A second? Any other questions, anything? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Brady. Next up, we have item number 7 is the Transportation Impact Area Guide Update. Spencer and Elijah, got that for us?
Got a couple of drafts, if you all wanna pass these around, take a look at them. The draft, EEIA. Plans.
Spencer sent that out last week and we got some really good feedback from last week.
Yeah, so just thanks, thanks for
That too.
thanks for the feedback, it was very helpful. Always good to get an extra couple set of eyes on it. All right,
Glad to
so,
ask you to speak up really good. because
all right,
Sounding here is a little bit difficult, so
okay,
see if we can overcome that, okay?
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Alrighty, so today we're gonna talk about the update to the environmental justice and now TEIA guide. TEIA stands for Transportation Environmental Impact Areas. Sorry, it's a little small there, but essentially, the background is, before we were required for an executive order from the early 90s to look at environmental justice in our region and how it affects project development, where dollars are spent, impacts of projects. Per this new executive order, 14151, we no longer have to look at environmental justice in the same way. However, we still wanted to keep those efforts going, albeit somewhat differently. So we decided to update and revise our environmental justice areas and guide into something new called the Transportation and Environmental Impact Areas.
And just to refresh anyone, because I know it's probably been about 4 years or so since some people have read about this. But previously, the environmental justice analysis metric is that evaluating and scoring transportation projects in the MTP in areas with high concentrations of sensitive populations, which are called environmental justice areas. The areas were defined using data from the ACS, and the characteristics we used in that were percentage minority, percentage of low income, total minority population, and the total low income population. And some of the criteria have changed now. Really, the notable revisions will be that obviously it's now called Transportation Environmental Impact Analysis. EJ areas will now be called Transportation Environmental Impact Areas.
Yes, TIAs.
That with that comes revised methodology. And the new criteria are 200% of regional averages for elderly, one-car households, disabled, and percentage of poverty.
So kind of going back a little bit, I think our original plan was to use the CEJST tool, but they kind of retired that tool. And so instead, we decided to kind of get something that kind of bridges the gap between our former efforts and things that tool did, because it looked at lots of different factors, like, I don't know, 10 different sets of data, with like 27 different data points. So we added 3, we had to remove minority population, but we added 3 new, like Elijah just mentioned. So we also looked at people 65 and over, people with a disability, and then household vehicles. So the new thresholds for the region, the low income actually went up a little bit. 12.48% of the population in the region is considered low income. 16.69% of the population is 65 or older. 14.15% of the population reported that they had a disability. And 7.55% of households said that they had no vehicle. A change won't be as drastic as you might be led to believe, you know, removing minority but adding those other ones. The map doesn't look insanely different with like one area that does look different, but most of it looks pretty similar to before. So we still capture a lot of that same population with this analysis.
And then that's what all of that combined looks like. Those are environmental, transportation environmental impact areas right there.
Yes, so the notable like area, you know, but there'll be a comparison map at the end too. The Newburgh area is kind of the one that looks different. So a lot of it looks very similar, because the low income population in the region went up, as well as adding those new factors. You actually see some new areas in Bullitt County where there were none before.
Yeah.
There's also some added area in Floyd County, Clark County, and a few in eastern and southern Jefferson County that weren't there before. So it does capture a little bit more of those vulnerable populations, but that Newburgh area, as before, they were minority areas, but not necessarily all the low income areas. Some of them fell off. There's still a few in Newburgh, but not as many. There might have been like 8 before, now there's like 3.
And some of your cities, perhaps there's are 65 population, it may be a little easier to see on your handouts there, but you see it's mostly picked up there on the eastern parts. And we've also got people with disabilities.
Yeah, so a lot in the northwestern part of Jefferson County and the southern part of Floyd County around Albany. Here, we had questions. I just threw this in there real quick. You're kind of hard to see in the room, apologize for that, but we had questions on, how do they get information on who has a disability? So these are the 3 questions from the actual ACS. They essentially ask, it's like six questions embedded in these 3 questions. It asks things like, do you have a hard time hearing? Do you have a hard time seeing, walking around? Do you have a hard time getting to the doctor's office or going grocery shopping? And that's how they build that data set. So there was a lot of questions. I feel like in one of the older versions, it was a little more subjective, where they kind of just asked you, do you feel like you have one? Whereas now they kind of tease it out a little more, like, trying to get it from, do you feel like you have a debilitating condition, or like, whether it's mental, physical, anything like that. So those are the example of the questions.
Yeah. This goes for all our criteria as well. All the criteria listed in our methodology is defined by the questions asked in the ACS.
Here's no car households. A lot of where you expect it really overlaps. There's a strong correlation with low income households, so that makes sense. Then there's low income, so this is the one we carried over from the EJ areas before. And that's another interesting thing. You think, oh, we added 3 new criteria. That's why those 2 areas, those 2 census tracts in Bullitt County are popping up, but they're actually appearing from the old criteria. So if we would have done the same exact way, Bullitt County would still have 2 new tracts, because I think they were probably just under that threshold before for low income, and now they're just above the threshold. So here's a comparison, and that's also in the guide. See, there's the old map. You can see like that newer area. It's kind of like a big square, and now it's 3 or 4 census tracts. But you get those other areas. You get a little bit more of southern Jefferson County, even eastern Jefferson County, and then a similar overlap in the urbanized areas of Clark and Floyd counties. And then we have the guide that was in the memo, the link to the EJ page on KIP's website. It has been updated most recently yesterday. We finished adding all the edits that we were sent. Once again, thanks everybody for those. And then that little citation at the bottom is just, we had to use iFoods data because of the government shutdown, but it's the exact same data as the census data. It just has GIS information added to it about the University of Minnesota. So. Any questions?
Good. Okay, any questions? This is an action item, so this requires acceptance of the transportation impact area guide update and information. Any other questions? I need a motion to accept this update. That motion? Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any other questions? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Spencer. I like it.
Thank you, sir.
Next item on our agenda is item number 8. That's the public participation plan update break.
Right, to the update for participation plan. We do this about every 4 years, and now is the time. Just a background for folks that don't know, the participation plan is kind of the playbook for when, the where, and the how we participate when it comes to the public. And like I said, we are required to update this at least every 4 years. We do an annual review of it. Key changes, there weren't a whole lot here. We dropped the public from the name of the plan based on recommendations of our 2022 federal certification review. We are adding a public comment period recommendation for the call for projects. You may recall that is something we started last spring, where projects that are put in for the call projects are also given out to the public so they can review them and give feedback to the working groups so that we can make better decisions. That's been extremely popular. That's something we started, I think either last year, and we wanted to continue that. So we want to put it into the plan so it is a guaranteed recommendation. We'll do it every time. We also changed the public comment recommendations for the UPWP. Honestly, in my 5 years here, we have never received a comment or anything on the UPWP. We sent that out. So we essentially just put that back to a best practice versus a must and will. Also, sometimes the timing of these amendments, it doesn't work to put it into 15 days. And sometimes things that have to be done right away within 15, 20 days. So we kind of felt like this is a better idea to move it back. We updated the readability of the document as well. I think some of the document was just had too much different jargon in it. So we just made it a little bit easier to understand and read. It is for the public and not necessarily for the folks like us that have a deeper understanding of transportation planning. As you can see, here are the graphics that show kind of what we do, the notifications and the actions that we have: social media, email, our monthly meeting notices, website, material. The ones in dark blue are must and will. Those are things that we have to do. And then the light blue is best practice. There's also just a denotation down there because we do stream these meetings on YouTube at our best practice. If for some reason we don't have the ability to do it or something goes down, we also make those available afterwards on our website so people can go back and watch those after they're done. This is just for the documents and the programs that we do. As you can see, most of those didn't really change. The UPWP, we just made those blue. I also added in the call for projects. Actions requested is to approve that plan, and we will get that rolled out immediately after that is approved.
Any questions? Then we'll need a motion to accept the public participation plan update. Motion. Second. Any other questions? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much, Craig. Next, we have item number 9, which is the Kentucky Indiana Transportation Excellence Award, known as KITE. And Andy has that for us.
I do in part, at least. So, as many of you all know, this time of year, we like to hand out what's known as the KITE Award, Kentucky Indiana Transportation Excellence Award. Been doing it for, at least a decade now. How many years is it?
It's 11th year.
11th year of the KITE Award. So, Greg's produced a fantastic video, and we are going to share that video. And at the end of this video, it'll announce who the winner of the 2025 KITE Award is.
It's on like beer liquor. So
Same with this.
I don't know.
It's a really good video, I promise. I've seen it. Cinematography is fantastic. And actually, the audio is fantastic too, so it's worth waiting.
Bring to you from Clarksville, local.
It is, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Comes from Clarksville, yes, yes. Wait, it up.
That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, I can get the audio working.
Say what?
The audio's not working on a computer.
It's an returnable.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, but you can find it. They listen to it, they log it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Oh. That's afraid of something. It's going through the, yeah. We had this wrong last year.
Well, we tested it on one of those.
Yeah.
It was not. um,
Anybody who lives, so it's supposed to, the lens be on, the laptop, it's supposed to be then.
All right, are we ready? Here we go. All right, totally worth waiting for. Thanks, Sheriff.
Second. Why not do that? Get rid of this. Right.
So I'm reminded, a wise man that's in the room today, he once said that he came up with the moniker that nothing competes with complete streets. And East Market is definitely turned into a very complete street. And so on behalf of Kipton and Kipton TPC, I'd like to award Louisville Metro the 2025 Kite Award. Deputy Mayor George or Metro staff, whoever?
Yes, Metro staff. All the folks who are involved in this project should come up.
That's everyone.
Particularly the one and only Rosa, who has single-handedly managed all of the interests, business relationships along the border. I don't know where. Just gonna give that one. Okay. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna put it. That's the smart guy, Andy?
I see what you see, very smart guy.
Yes.
For what's online, I understand that you both could have video, it is on our YouTube channel, but we put that on following this, so if anybody wants to review it that is online, they can watch it there.
Congratulations once again.
Very much. Okay, next item on our agenda is item number 10. That's the administrative modifications. Chris, got that for us?
Just gonna be a quick presentation. Well, it'll be two quick presentations in a row.
I know you can talk louder than that.
Okay,
Okay, there you go.
all right. So I'm gonna talk about TIP Administrative Modification 6, which is also gonna be known as the TP Administrative Modification 30. Got 25 project updates included in this one. A draft is included in your meeting packet. There are several updates that were already discussed by Brady pending approval. The ones that I could, by our policies, put in an admin mod are in there. The others are going to be in an upcoming amendment. I can process the draft now that we have approval for those. There is one additional update that is not in the draft, but I am going to talk about that briefly today and include that in the final draft. As a reminder, TPC approval is not required for administrative modifications. This is informational. As most of you have heard the spiel before, administrative modifications are designed for minor updates when applicable. The only MTP change permitted is aligning the total project cost with an increase to the total program cost of the TIP. And we do have a few in this one, so that's why it's going to be admin mod to the TIP and MTP this time. So we only have one Indiana update in this one. It's the CR 311 Sellersburg Amendment project from Clark County. We're adding CMAQ funds to the key phase. That project is going to have additional changes in the amendment coming up, but we're just doing that for this administrative modification. Then we've got some KYTC projects. There's a pavement marker and lens replacement project throughout District 5. That's adding additional HSIP dollars to construction. And we also have a new Clark Memorial Bridge maintenance project. New to the packet is the one I have highlighted in yellow. It's called US 42, and in this case, it's a maintenance project. Then we have some base shifts to another US 42 project and also Kentucky 1931. I think Brady mentioned those earlier. Then we've got some Louisville Metro projects that were also discussed earlier. We've got the River Road project, Mutual Bank Road. We have phase 1 of the Louisville Loop, River Valley Northeast project, Northeast Louisville Loop, MT Section 3, And then the Olmsted Parkways multi-use path sections 6 and 7 are both in this one. And those two are also going to be in the amendment getting some additional changes to the open public. We have a prospect project also on US 42, an intersection safety project, and that's a new study. And then the remaining projects are all transit projects. They're the 5310 2026 edition, and we are mostly the TARC subrecipients. I'm just gonna list off who those subrecipients are. We have Baptist Healthcare Foundation, Blue River, Cedar Lake, Dreams with Wings, Harbor House, North Star Achievement, Southwest Center, the Zoom Group, Lifespan, and then also a couple of TARC operating administrative projects for the cost, including some oversight. And that is all I have here. There is no action on this one. Okay. As I did mention, I'm going to process this administrative modification following our lunch. So that should be good to go today.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. And you have the amendments.
Yes,
Okay, that's item number 11.
Yeah.
Okay,
this is just a little update reminder. I have the schedule, if you want to post it up online, so. So my update on the next amendments, and that is plural. Sponsors submitted the project applications anytime before November 7th. And based on our preliminary review, we have a little over 20 project updates that will not affect the air quality modeling or are exempt. And then we have, I think, 6 non-exempt projects that will affect the modeling analysis. So we're gonna keep the same task timeline in this case, but those that will not affect the model will be called Amendment 2, which will be Amendment 11 to the MTP, and those that will need that extra review, those are Amendment 3, which is going to be the MTP Amendment 12. So we have a IAC meeting scheduled for December 15th. I sent the meeting invite out yesterday to those who regularly attend that. And our virtual public meeting is to be determined probably around the second week in January. And we're gonna plan to request TPC approval January 22nd. At that time, that would complete Amendment 2, and then Amendment 3 would be sent off for the federal. If anyone has any questions, that I'll probably, if I have any questions, I'll probably be emailing some of you in the future.
okay. Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Is there any other business?
Got a couple announcements if I might.
Yep.
I just want to say thanks to J-Town once again for hosting us today. You're welcome. And as a reminder, everybody in the room, that the board meeting will meet immediately following this meeting here in this room at 11 o'clock. And then following the board meeting, there'll be a luncheon in the room next door. So if you stick it out through the board meeting, we'll enjoy some lunch together later this afternoon. Also, of course, want to wish everybody happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving, safe travels. Reminder, our next meeting will be Thursday, January 22nd, back at KIPTA at 12:30 p.m. So we'll see everybody back in January and look forward to a big 2026.
Okay. Thank you all very much. It's been my pleasure to serve as your chairman this year. And
Jack, I've got some.
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I've actually got 2 things. The first thing is, our friends at KYTC have just issued a statewide, the statewide call for TAP projects that runs through January 19th. And there's a 20% lower branch on there, so just to get the word out.
That's the
And then also-
statewide tab, not the KIPTA administered tab. So that's the spend it anywhere in the state version of the funding, as opposed to the funding that this body controls.
And then I also just wanted to let everyone know that this will be my last TPC. I've been given a pretty good opportunity for Louisville Metro, and I've been my career there, so it won't be too far away. It's been great working with everyone here, and I hope to see many of you again.
And then, I have an announcement too. This will also be my last PBC meeting. So, been a pleasure working with everybody.
The Metro too?
I'm not coming to hurt. But yeah, it's been a pleasure working with everyone and, you know, thank you all.
All right.
Anybody know any good transportation planners?
Thank you very much. Thank you for your service here at BPC and everything. Anybody else have anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion, second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you for those who attended online.